You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Dancing with the Stars After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Dancing with the Stars After Show.
All right, you guys, Bing is for doing, and we are here doing another fantastic episode of Dancing with the Stars. Season 15 All-Stars, of course, and it is week 8. There's only 2 more weeks left of this season. It's kind of hard to imagine, but I'm Kristyn Burtt. I'm excited to be here, and with me tonight is my co-host, Suri Serano.
Hello, everybody.
I'm excited. We haven't had the 2 of us in studio in a long time, right?
No,
or at all, ever.
We can just get into the nitty-gritty with each other.
I know, I can't wait, because, you know, Suri and I don't agree all that often, which we get along great off air. I just want everyone to know that. We are friends, and we text all the time, but I actually like that we don't agree, because I think we offer 2 really distinct opinions.
Definitely, but there's some things that we for sure agree on.
Yes, absolutely, and that's a good thing too. We love each other, so don't think otherwise. Don't start rumors on YouTube, you guys. You know, we're gonna kick it off tonight because we've got a lot to talk about. We have our Veterans Day dances, and of course we have the trios, and I'm excited about the trios because that was some good dancing. So they had 2 full individual routines this week, and we kick it off with our stars. They're your stars, actually.
I know,
Sean and Derek.
I love them. I love them. You know, gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous, I think their number was.
And they were doing the Viennese waltz. Let's clarify that for everyone listening to the podcast. It is a Viennese waltz.
I just don't think she takes a misstep ever. Have we seen her,
I don't think so, honestly. And you know, I think I was hard on the country week, and people like, you guys all let me know that I was crazy. But I think she could do better. And I think last week and this week, she's really showing what she's capable of, which I think is important. And what I loved about this week was that there was such a lovely softness to her dance.
Definitely. And, from the beginning of the season, we weren't really sure if we were going to see that more mature, the emotion is hard for her. And as you and I both know, gymnasts, Sean was steel face.
She was a power gymnast.
Yes, yeah. And I'm really impressed.
Yeah.
That it's coming out. It's awesome to watch.
It really was lovely. It was pretty and light. She had some beautiful turns on that Viennese waltz that I actually rewound my DVR and was like, let me watch that again, because it was just gorgeous.
Her placement, just everything. I just don't see anything wrong.
And the judges didn't really see much wrong either, giving her a 29.5.
Except for Len, I swear, he must be judging her on like a professional dancer level, because the 0.5, I mean, like, really?
Yeah, you're like, come on. And we'll get into this because, again, it's one of those things, it's that subjective judging we've been talking about all season long, where they hold people to different standards. And sometimes it's a little bit frustrating, I think, and we're getting down to the nitty gritty. And this is where I'm like, okay, they're kind of splitting hairs on this.
Right, and it's kind of, gymnastics, ice skating, it's all subjective scoring. I mean, they're trying ultimately it is a little bit, it's people's opinions and whatnot, even though there is supposed to be a scoring system, whatnot. But on the show, I definitely question a lot of the judges' scoring. It's all over the place. I kind of wonder, what's going on behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, I'm behind the scenes, but like behind the scenes.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like there is a little bit of manipulation, like keep this person on just a little bit longer. We don't know. We're not making accusations. We're just speculating.
Like, for instance, and I'm sure I'm going to hear something on this, but, Tony, he's been on the show for 14 seasons out of the 15. He's never won a mirror ball. It could be interesting what happens at the end if he makes it to the end and if they were to win. I would wonder a little bit because I think Sean and Derek are the stronger team. But I'm getting ahead of myself. But
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you just
we'll talk about that because I've got a lot to say about Melissa and Tony this week. Tony might be happy if he's listening. I'll tweet him tomorrow. I told him last week we talked about heel and toe leads, and he was very proud of us. So as we said, Viennese Waltz, Sean and Derek, 29.5. We move into Apollo and Karina doing the tango. And this is another couple that I feel like they're just hitting their stride now, and this is when you're supposed to hit your stride.
the first things that I noticed watching was just actually how sexy he was. And I don't find him as, like, he's not my kind of man. I don't know what kind of man mine is, but, you know, like...
That's a whole other story,
Yes, it is. But so sexy and so powerful and strong. And I wanted to be Karina. I did. I know Carrie Ann was joking about it. We all wanted to be Karina in that number, and I did. It was like, wow, he really took control, and it was hot.
He absolutely did, and he had his shirt off, and he was ripped, and, you know, he was sharp, he was crisp. I guess maybe he had a little vest on or whatever, but it doesn't matter. We saw those muscles, and they were just really hitting some nice strides, and this is a great point in the competition to be hitting those strides, because not only do the scores matter, but the fan votes matter.
Right. And honestly, I mean, I didn't even really notice his shirt off. It was his control and how powerful he was that drew me in.
Yep, it was a great performance, and 29.5. So we've had two 29.5s within the first 5 minutes of the show, because these dancers were very, very short for Veterans Day. They were like a minute long, and I was like, that's it? Okay, I guess on to the next one. Compare it with Sean. What do you think? 29.5 for both of them. Do you think maybe Sean should have had a 30 and they should have had a 29.5?
Oh, gosh, that's a great question. Obviously, you know, I favor Sean and Derek a little bit.
No.
She's technically stronger.
Yeah.
Is she not? Like, that's what I see. But it was close. You know, overall, I feel like it was close.
Yeah.
In terms of them, you know, getting the same score.
And it's always hard being that first couple out, because I always feel like it's really hard to get that 30 coming out of the gate.
For sure.
Yeah, it's just the way they do it.
Although some 30s have been thrown around this season.
Oh boy, there were a few of them that I was like, we'll talk about that, because I have some notes coming for you guys.
I love it.
Kirsty and Max were couple number 3 doing the Viennese waltz. And the first note I wrote, and I actually love this, I wrote, Max has a shirt on, like a full shirt, not a half shirt, not a vest, a shirt, kids.
You know, I thought it was lovely for Kirsty. Her arms bother me a little bit. I don't know if you know, like I don't know.
She kind of does this a lot.
Yeah, it's this thing. I don't know what it is.
Sad arm. I have I go to a ballet class, and she always goes, sad arms, happy arms. Yeah, sad arms. A lot of sad arms going on. It was better than last week. And I just, you know, darn it, I just like Kirsty. Every single time she's on camera, you know, even though we know that she's not the strongest, I still want to hang out with her and have a drink maybe. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely, you want to hang out with her. She's hilarious.
And if you ever want to question why she's here this long, this is exactly why. She's so incredibly likable. And they got their best score yet in the entire season with the 27. And then this is where I start going, okay, you know, if you go 29.5 with Sean and a 27, I mean, they're 2.5 points within each other, but I'm like, it's not that big a leap.
It's kind of a different league.
Yeah. And again, they're judging Kirsty on Kirsty instead of...
which in a way is nice. And I think people kind of get it. Maybe or maybe not. I don't know. Some people get it. But then again, it isn't fair if you're overall like kind of judging technical, you know, Len and his technicality.
Absolutely. And he's always the one that's the stickler for all the technique, which I enjoy. I like some of his comments. Sometimes I think he's a little off base, but he's made some really good comments. And I think he's made better dancers out of people. I think that's where you're seeing the improvement in Apollo and Sean even.
Put it this way. If Sean or one of the others did what Kirsty did, Len would have given her a 5 or a 6.
That is true. Because he'd be like, what happened this week? Are you tired? Are you just phoning it in? Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. So Kirsty was judged on Kirsty's capabilities. Next up, we have Kelly and Val in the Viennese waltz. So this is, we're about 3 Viennese waltzes in.
Okay,
and
what I noticed first was all the smoke and how long her dress was. And I feel like it was to hide her feet so that you just look at everything up top, which was gorgeous.
It was very pretty. And, you know, this is what I said, and this is kind of interesting that you said that, because I watched the package beforehand, and then I watched the dance, of course, and I thought, compared to the rehearsals and what was shown on stage, he cleans her lines up very, very well. If you watch in the rehearsals, and go back and look if anyone is questioning what I'm saying, but she does dance a lot with her shoulders up and things like that, and he has her relaxed and very comfortable by the time they're performing.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, and I think I thought it was beautiful, but right off the bat, that's what I noticed with the smoke, because, weeks ago when we had Shirley Ballas here and we were talking about her feet and how her dress was a little bit short, and it showed. You know what I mean? Do you remember? You don't remember that?
I did. No, I
like I'm crazy.
No. I saw the playback, and I just was thinking that they're probably going back week to week and watching some of the playback and some of the feedback that they get, and there are ways to hide flaws.
As a pro dancer, you got to know they know their weaknesses, their partner's weaknesses and their strengths, and her feet aren't always. You know what I mean?
Sometimes they're not always pointed. Sometimes they're sickled, things like that.
I don't know. I think it was beautiful. It was a great routine.
It was. And they're so well matched physically. I think that's the other thing, because he's big and strong, and she's just this petite little thing, very dainty. And it always looks like he's protecting her. And I just wrote, gosh, I love them together. I love watching them together. I couldn't take my eyes off of them. And, we've gone into the gossip side of it. But, just let's look at them as dance partners, and they're fantastic.
Sure. Yeah. They're fun to watch.
Score of 28, so that only puts them 1 point ahead of Kirsty and Max. But again, this is where the judging gets frustrating for us all.
Yeah, to have that only a 1.5 below Sean and Derek's just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all. Okay, Gilles, I should say, and Peta doing the quick step. I've got to say, and this has been an interesting thing, and it came up in all the YouTube comments this week, because I went through a lot of them, and you guys are amazing, because we went to sleep. I woke up in the morning, and there were like 20 comments by 9 a.m. on the West Coast. I was like, holy cow. But I love that you guys are commenting and listening to the show and giving us feedback. Gilles, according to a lot of people in the comments, he is rubbing fans the wrong way. And I think this is what my issue is, where I'm like, he's overperforming and he's doing this in his arms, and he seems like a guy that is just, he loves competition. He wants to be here. He's working hard. He and Peta look gorgeous together on the dance floor, and I'm like, why is he driving me crazy?
Do you have an answer for that?
I think he's just trying too hard, and
I put that in my notes for both routines, actually, which we'll get to the trio. But trying too hard, and with the duo, what struck me was they were in really full head-to-toe dark costumes, and the lighting was dark too. So it was hard for me. It was hard to see what was going on. I don't know if you found that, but
I didn't notice that.
For me,
I noticed some nicer footwork from him, which had been cleaned up a little bit from other weeks. I just kept on writing. I hated this choreography. I didn't love this quick step so much. I know that the judges enjoyed it, but I guess it left me feeling cold and empty.
We actually agree on that.
Dun dun. That's an AfterBuzz TV exclusive, I believe, on that one. Yeah, thank you. KB and Suri agree on one thing.
Okay.
Yes, but it is one of those things. I just didn't love it. I think he just wants it too bad. Or he wanted it too bad.
Yeah, but like I said, that was one of my notes too. I felt like he was trying too hard. And we'll get to that in the trio. I have some comments about that.
Great. That was a 29.5 on that. So we've got three-way tie on that. Sean and Derek, Apollo and Karina, Gilles and Peta. And that's when I start going, okay, when you start putting those three dances side by side.
Right.
No.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Maybe you all do. We're going to hear about it.
Yeah, if any of you can explain, this is what I would love. If you want to go to the YouTube comments and explain.
Or call us.
Yes, call us. We love it when you call us. Let me give out that number too. It's 424-256-1729. We are live here on the West Coast, so we would love to hear from you. If anyone wants to explain why Gilles and Peta have the same score as Sean and Derek and Apollo and Karina, if you can make sense of it and give us a coherent answer, we'd love to hear from you. Come on, call in. Write comments on YouTube. You got it, kids.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. Okay, we move on to Emmitt and Cheryl. I have so many notes this week. Crazy. Doing the Viennese waltz. I said the waltz. Viennese waltz.
Okay, my favorite part of the routine was the suave walk off at the end.
That was your favorite part of the whole thing? The end? When it was over, Suri.
Not because I hated it, just because, I don't know, I thought it made me laugh. I just really enjoyed it. I'm easily entertained.
Suri's like, it's over. That was awesome. Thumbs up.
His feet bother me a little bit. You know, overall, I enjoy his, their performances, and I, obviously we've talked about his charisma all season long. I definitely enjoy it, but his feet, the way he moves, I just don't.
He's smooth, but I thought the dance was kind of bland for what it was. And there was actually a really cool turn to the floor, and the camera did it as an overhead shot, and I kind of wanted to see it at eye level because I think it was more intricate actually from eye level. I just wonder if when they did camera blocking, if it was too sloppy looking, and so they did it from overhead to kind of cheat it, because from overhead it didn't really look like that much.
I'm sure they tried whatever, and they picked the best one.
They picked the best one because I just thought that the dance was fine.
Exactly.
It's serviceable. His wife is a total hottie. I did write that too. He has a hot wife. He really does.
She's gorgeous.
She's so beautiful.
I know.
Oh my gosh. No wonder he goes home every week. I get it.
And has 10 kids. Oh, he doesn't have 10, but he has a
lot of kids.
5 or 6.
His wife needs a lot of help around the house with all those kids, but they're adorable.
We're getting sidetracked.
I know, but I did write his wife is a hottie. And the score on this one was a 28, and I kind of wrote... And I did. I wrote generous ?
I kind of think so, because I don't think he and Kirsty are on the same level, but I don't think they're that far apart, in my opinion. So
I think they've been riding on, he does have an innate rhythm, and he's got some nice moves. He's got musicality, but I feel like they've been sort of coasting on that for a long time, and he can't really do much above that.
I definitely agree. I don't think he can do much more than what we've seen.
Too bad, because they are lovely to watch, but it was just fine. And here we get to, it was just fine. It was just nothing more than fine.
Well, wait a second. That's why I love the ending when he was all suave and walked off, because it was the most entertaining.
Because Suri's like, it's more than fine. It was closer. Yeah, I don't know. It just, it was, he's still on the show, guys. He's still on the show.
I thought he was going home. I thought he was one of the couples that it was.
We have a lot to talk about on this one, on the elimination, because that was, boy. Melissa and Tony are couple number 7 doing the quick step. Gosh darn. This is another couple. They are peaking at the right time, and Tony knows what he's doing choreography-wise. He knows what he's doing with Melissa's capabilities.
I've never seen him work so hard. Not in all the seasons.
Unbelievable.
No, he's hungry, and he can taste, getting closer and closer and closer.
There was just a nice crispness to it, a sharpness. I thought this was perfect for Melissa's personality.
Just lovely. Yeah, I wrote lovely and a joy to watch.
Yep.
The whole package.
Yeah, the costumes were cute, and the choreography was fantastic.
It flowed. It was beautiful. Her feet, everything.
And I loved this, and this is so slight. It has nothing to do with Dancing with the Stars, but all the servicemen were in the audience. They actually went over to them first and applauded, and then walked over to the judges' table. And some of the other dancers may have done it, and I missed it, or it wasn't shown on camera, but it just was really sweet and thoughtful, and I just made them love the two of them even more. And we know Tony's he's got the biggest heart, and it seems like Melissa is right there along with him, so it was sweet. And they got a 30. Perfect score.
Sure did. Tony
Big
was
time.
Psyched.
That's super exciting for them. But see, here's the other thing. I mean, they were in the lead from the week before too. So this puts them in a really interesting position. They're the one that everyone's going to start gunning for.
Well, I mean, they're top 3, no doubt, I think, in the show. And they're gunning for that ball.
He wants it. I mean, we know that. And if
he's wanted it for years, and then he knew getting Melissa, somebody that he finished high up with in the past, probably his highest finish, I think, that he had a strong chance. And now it's getting down there. So yeah.
I wonder for the pros. I should have asked Tony, because I know winning it's a mirrored trophy ball, but what that means for their career. Does it change anything, or is it just the art of competition?
I don't know if it changes so much. I mean, it definitely for that short period of time, it gives you a lot of exposure. I mean, they're flying everywhere and doing everything for like a month. But I mean, for somebody as competitive, I don't know if you know this, but knowing him as a friend, he's one of the most competitive people I've ever met, and he wants the trophy.
He can taste that mirrored ball. He wants to take a bite out of it.
Win. He wants to win every chance he gets. He likes to tell people he's been a world champion.
Love that, though. That's good. He deserves it. He has worked very hard for that and
For
that
sure.
accolade. I love that.
For sure.
We just want to remind you guys that if you are listening on the iTunes podcast, of course, thank you so much for subscribing and downloading. Be sure to tell a friend. I know there's only 2 weeks left in our season, but we've had so much fun being here, and it's kind of exciting, especially as we move towards the top three.
I can't believe
who's going to win. I don't necessarily think it's like a set done deal. I know you
No,
love.
we're going to get to that too.
We are gonna get to that,
I have
'cause-
stuff that I want to say about that.
But remember, you can comment and rate us, and I love to reply to comments and look at them. And hopefully over the season, you see that we have evolved, and we're hopefully servicing more of your needs and answering your questions. And of course, we'd love to hear from you, not only on YouTube, on iTunes, but you guys can tweet us. I had a lot of people tweet last week, which was great. So I was doing a lot of responding.
You can tweet me too.
You can tweet Suri Serano too. And of course, you can also call in during the show, 424-256-1729.
Yes.
Okay. With that, okay, so that wraps up the first half of the show, the quick Veterans Day dances. And I think everything kind of wound up exactly where it should in terms of placement. Nothing really surprised me.
For the most part.
For the most part, I
Apart
mean-
from our just, our little, in terms of 1 point here, given, too friendly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you've got
nice,
Melissa and
all
you've
those
got
things.
Sean and Apollo. Gilles, I don't think he should be up there as high, but and then Kelly and Val.
Nothing shocking.
Nothing super shocking at all, really. It's not at this point. But we move into the trios, and I think that this was probably one of the most exciting weeks of the season because it adds a totally different element to the dances. There was a lot more creativity, and I liked that people switched it up. Apollo did something a little bit different. We saw Derek take a risk with choreography, so I really allowed a lot of the celebrities and the
enjoyed
pros
it
to
too.
shine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So to the Dancing with the Stars producers or whoever thought of that concept and, is continuing on with it. We love it. Thank you. So we're going to start off with the samba, or the samba as they call it. I always like samba. I call it samba.
I call it samba.
Yeah. But when you listen to the English guy, he's like the samba. But it doesn't sound like that. It sounds better and more educated? Better educated than me.
Who are we starting with?
We're starting with Mark, Derek, and Sean.
Oh gosh, I loved this dance. Loved it. And Mark and Derek are known to be creative, especially Derek being extremely creative. And Mark, in the past seasons, have taken risks. I like risks. It's not your typical ballroom thing, and it was a little bit So You Think You Can Dance-esque, costume-wise and theatrical. I loved it.
I did too. It was so funny because it was a total risk, and I thought it was a risk that paid off. It was a great dance piece. Okay, yeah, it wasn't necessarily a samba piece, but it was fierce. I love Sean's versatility in this. I mean, if this girl, I don't know what she plans on doing, post Dancing with the Stars, but if she wants to
So funny because I was thinking the same thing. Like how much she's transformed in her life. Like, you know what I mean? In 4 years, I'm sure she would never have imagined that she'd be what we're seeing right now.
I know. Does she want to dance professionally? Because she sure could do it if she wanted to.
She could. I doubt she probably would.
I know she makes too much
Dancers,
money.
Yeah.
With her Nike.
Dancers make no money, and you audition every day, and you compete against 500 dancers.
But
and
she could do like Broadway for fun. I mean, with
She
her,
could.
because
She
she
could.
has her Nike sponsor, and I mean, she does very well. Coca-Cola, and I think she had Kellogg's. I think she had everything going into the Olympics even, and she was there as a representative of the athletes and the sponsors this year, so it was great.
No, I loved it. You're like, right? Risks are great.
And it is,
Change. It's
especially at
different.
this point in the show too. We're in an all-star season, and we're this late in the game. We're in week 8 out of 10. Take our risk.
I know we're going to hear from people about, well, Len was right. He did, there wasn't enough content in there. Perhaps so, but look at that routine compared to everything else.
I know.
In some ways,
It was so good. Although I find that less people actually agree with Len. If I side with Len, they're like, KB, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I know. But here's where there was a lot of dissenting opinions on the judges panel. Carrie Ann and Abba gave it 10. Len gave a 7 because there was not enough samba elements to it. He did say it was art and it was beautiful. And Bruno gave it a 9. So that's where I went up with the 26. And how about that interesting comment Len made?
Wait a second. Every week, those 3 judges never agree on Sean and Derek. Is that behind the scenes? Or is that just You know what I mean? Like, what is that?
But that's usually Len on the dissenting opinion, because I did agree with him Country Week. I don't agree with him on this at all. And I think that with the 26, and he did say to Sean, if you go home, don't blame, the fans, blame.
That's really harsh.
Derek
I mean,
and Mark.
really? Like a 7 for that? A 7.
That was not 7 worthy.
Did anyone else even get a 7?
I think like maybe she could have lost. I mean, he could have given her a 9 or even an 8.5.
But did he even give Kirsty a 7 on anything? I mean, ridiculous.
Totally ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
No, and in fact, we're gonna get to that because she did not even get a 7 on her Paso Doble, which was atrocious.
Right.
Atrocious.
It's like he's judging her as a pro dancer. That's all I can say.
It was bad. I know. Kirsty's last dance was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so we have 26. I don't know what the heck happened there. Someone must have slipped something in his drink and he was not thinking straight because that was outrageous. We'll go there. Dance number 2 was the Jive with Apollo, Karina, and our friend Sasha Farber, who we've had him here on the show with his girlfriend Emma Slater. And so it was nice to see one of the troupe dancers in the mix this week.
Right. What did you think?
Okay, here's the interesting thing. And Apollo took a risk on this. They chose a male dancer. And so there were 2 males and 1 female, where usually people chose the opposite gender. And I thought that the dance was so clean. It was in unison. It was to Grease Lightning. But I have to say that I watched Sasha versus watching Apollo.
Wow. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a risk to do, to have a male competing against a male.
Right. The judges
sure.
didn't have a problem with that, though.
Yeah. Well, Sasha's amazing.
He's amazing. Good job, Sasha. But but that's what I watched. I didn't watch Apollo, and if I had been judging, I would have been a little bit concerned, thinking I watched the pro, I didn't watch you. So that's where the risk may not have paid off.
What'd they get on the score?
29. They did great. So the judges had no problem with it. It clearly was my issue. I admit it. I had an issue watching this dance.
I'm sure it's pretty safe to say you're probably not the only one.
Yeah. Did anyone else just watch Sasha? I would love to know. But but it looked so clean when they showed the 3 of them moving together. They were in unison. It looked exactly the way it should, exactly the way you want to see your Broadway show or your movie musical look. It was great.
Well said.
Okay. And then we get to, and this is the one I was like, it's atrocious, you guys. It was so bad. Paso Doble, Kirsty, Max, and Tristan McManus.
Okay. What happened, wardrobe department? Costume department? Why was she in a nightgown for like an 80-year-old?
It's hiding all the flaws, I think.
And leggings. It took away from the entire performance. I couldn't stop staring at this large, huge bag of a nightgown.
And she's looked fantastic, so we're not talking about her shape and figure. She's worn some form-fitting, beautiful things all season.
That's not the Paso Doble.
It's not. It was a hot mess, is really what it was.
Whose idea?
I don't.
Max?
It's got to be Max, because usually the choreographer of the piece is the one.
But Kirsty comes up with ideas because she's so creative. I don't know. The whole thing was a mess.
Even if it was a collaboration, it was not a good collaboration. And she was barefoot, and I was watching.
Why wasn't she in a sexy outfit? She's been wearing beautiful dresses.
And she looks great.
Off.
She looks slim and sexy and hot and curvy. And
somebody big time dropped the ball on that.
And she was also barefoot, and she had a real hard time doing the Paso Doble, doing some of the turns and everything else. Her feet were getting stuck to the floor.
Why was she barefoot? I don't understand the whole number. What was happening?
I did watch it with my significant other, and he's like, she can't turn. Her bare feet. And if he's noticing, you guys, there's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a problem. So, and I felt like... This is where I feel like she's in week 8. I feel like she's lost her focus. I think she's having a good time, and she and Max love each other, but somewhere along the way, she's just kind of not as sharp maybe in rehearsals, or maybe not paying attention as much. Yeah, I feel like she's lost her focus because some of her dances, while, she looked great in the first dance this week, I didn't feel she looked great. And maybe it's learning 2 dances. Maybe it was too much for her.
Well, I mean, I don't know. We can only speculate at this point.
Yes.
However... being week 8 plus the month of training that they started before, maybe she's getting a little worn out. I don't know, but her, organic liaison line has kept her, in shape and energized. But maybe, she's tired.
She
I
might
don't
be
know.
tired.
I don't think she's the only one that's tired, but you know.
But here's the best part about it. She knew that dance stunk to high heaven. And this is where we all love Kirstie Alley. And I defy any of you to tell me that you didn't like her when she said this. She goes up to Brooke Burke, they're in the back, and she says, I don't know, that was like totally worth a 10, or I thought we were going to get a 10.5. And I mean, it just made me laugh because she knew that just was terrible, that dance. But she's got such a great attitude.
I wonder too, though, if Max just doesn't care, because I know, he's told me before, like backstage, he's like, I don't care if I go home or not, and you kind of go along for the ride when you have somebody that is probably not going to win, like we've talked about. And maybe, I don't know, maybe he just doesn't put everything into choreography.
And I think he knows.
It's gonna hurt me if I see me.
But I think he knows what Kirstie's limitations are, and he's not going to be throwing her around the way that someone like Tony would with Melissa, being able to do all those lifts and everything else. So it's just different body types, different.
Yeah, but this was an
style.
epic fail.
This was terrible.
This was an epic fail of a routine from the entire season. I actually think this was the worst routine so far.
This might have been the worst routine I've seen in a long time. This might have been. It's still better than this routine that I'm going to talk about, but it was when Kate Gosselin, the one where they're like pushing, when Tony had to like push her around like a grocery cart. Woo. I don't know who made it, whether it was Len or Bruno that made that comment, but that's still in my mind. Like,
yeah,
and every time
that's how bad it was. It was on that level of bad.
It was a little bit better than that, but I still, every time I see Kate Gosselin now, all I think of is like a grocery cart, like going down the aisle, like with her 20,000 kids, like hanging off because Tony just pushed her around the dance floor. God bless him.
Well, like he said, sometimes you just walk with them when they don't know how to walk.
I want to call Tony right now and be like, what are the deets on Kate Gosselin? My goodness.
I've heard them.
You have to tell me off air. Okay, so the score on this one was 24. And this is where it is not fair, where we had Len give Sean a 7 and he gave Kirsty an 8.
What?
Help us all, kids.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
It's insanity.
It really is. That's a good word for it.
It is insanity.
Silliness.
And see,
It's just silly.
And
it's silly.
It is, and I don't always agree with Len, and there you go. There you go. Next is the Jive with Kelly Val, and one of my favorites, Louis Van Amstel. It was really nice to see him back on the show.
Oh my gosh. On my notes, it was, first of all, what a lucky woman she was. I wanted to be her, like badly. I mean, these boys, sexy, hot, fast, insane male dancers.
I wrote, no shirt on Louis.
Both of them. It was just like, I couldn't keep my eyes off of them. And she was like the dainty princess, gorgeous doll in the middle, just being flung around between them.
Such a cute number.
I loved it. I loved it. Fun is what I...
And I have to say, Kelly, I just love her progress this season. I love what she's done. I love where she's going. I love that she's kind of let her guard down because she is a girl with a little bit of an edge. She is a girl that has a little bit of an attitude, and you can go back and kind of watch that attitude or that wall. I guess that's what it is. There's a wall up in the first season, and you see it. She gets defensive and things like that, and here she's just kind of let it go and let it down.
Val. I think that's Val.
I think so too. But she's a lovely girl, and it's nice to see it, and I'm glad she shared it with us.
Well, I think anybody could have been in between those two guys and looked good. No, I'm not trying to take anything away from Kelly because y'all know she's kind of been winning me over. But, I mean, they were amazing.
28.5.
They were amazing. I was like, rewind.
I know. They're like all sweaty. Yeah, that was nice.
Fun. It was a fun number.
That was a fun number. So we have 28.5. Wait. 24 with Kirsty Max. Okay. Apollo, Karina, Sasha, 29, and 26 for the Samba. Okay, that's just where we stand so far. So we move on to dance number 5. And again, we're going to talk about Gilles. Okay. Gilles, Peta, and Chelsea doing the salsa.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
The first thing I wrote.
Take this one first.
The first thing I wrote, he bugs the crap out of me. That is literally what I wrote on this sheet.
Did you really?
Bugs the crap out of me. And I feel bad because I don't think he's a bad guy. And it's just, I think he wanted it too bad and he just did it in a way.
This is the number that I was like, I said exactly what you did. He was trying way too hard. I was turned off, completely turned off. And not that he turned me on before. I mean, he's obviously great looking and whatnot. But perhaps this is why he ended up going home. and turning people off. It's just too much. You can just feel it. Like you should, when somebody's sexy, you don't have to try.
Yep.
You know, it was like, you know, when like women try and be sexy and they make that funny face because they're trying to be like sexy.
On Facebook.
That's kind of how I felt like he was doing the whole number. I was like, whoa, back up, man.
Yeah.
Cover the shirt. Like, it's too much. Too much and too much. All I saw was just sex everywhere. You know, just like, not, you know what I mean? Like, it was just.
Yeah, it's too much. And when it is too much, again, and this is where it goes back to when I said, dial it down just a bit. Take away 5 or 10% of your performance.
This one was more than 5 or 10%. This one needed about 50% backwards. It was way too much.
He was going like this a lot.
I mean, even
overall,
the girls, it was all about sex. I mean, get it, it sells, but like, I just didn't like it at all.
Yeah, that's what I wrote. I wrote, didn't love this piece. I mean, it was a nice showcase piece for some of the work that he's done and where he's come, but the overperformance has just killed me this season. But the judges, again, liked it, and they gave him a 29. I just don't agree with anything, but maybe I
agree more this week than any week.
And then any week. I know, finally. It took 8 weeks for it to happen. We're finally here.
Yeah, well, you know what? Clearly, America agrees with us.
Yes. And when we talk about the eliminations, I want to talk a lot about that, about Gilles. Gilles is on the list there. Number 6 was Emmitt, Cheryl, and Kim doing the salsa. So we had 2 salsas back to back.
All right. Take it.
Take it, because this is okay. All right. Emmitt looks like he is the nicest guy in the world. I like him. I do like him. I didn't feel like they gave him much to do. I felt like he just was like, pose, pose, pose. There was a lot of posing. The girls were dancing. Again, we love his rhythm. We love his musicality. And he finishes up, and the judges give him a 30. And I was like, for what? What? Did he? Wait. So I just want to know, if I go on Dancing with the Stars and I do like this and like have 2 girls dance around me, and then I pose like this, and then I wiggle my hips a little, you're going to give me a 30. I just want Len to call me up and let me know.
An absolute joke for the score for that routine.
Ridiculous. Off the charts.
Really. I mean, really. Like, yes, he had his hip movements, his signature moves in there, and it's all fun to watch, but what else is there? He did exactly what you just said. I didn't like the number at all from the beginning to the end, and there's just nothing there. And to a 30, they're smoking something.
I'm writing notes. I'm writing notes, you guys. I've got tons of things to say to you. Yeah, it's one of those things.
I feel that's like back going to the scoring stuff. Are there producers like in their ears? Give them a 30.
Yeah, everyone give them a 10. Give them a 10.
We got to keep them around. Justify. I don't know. It just
baffling. That score was baffling when they're like 10, 10, 10. I'm like, really?
Based on what? Compared to like giving Sean a 7, and she's doing like 100% more than what he's
like
doing.
Dancing and technique, and he's like, hey. Number 7, Tony, Melissa, and Henry doing the Paso Doble. Now what I loved about this dance was that it was a great contrast to their first dance that they did. Because the other one was like so bubbly and cute, and to me, I was watching this dance, and I'm starting to think that she's going to be the one to the beat. She's the one with the target on her back right now.
I don't know. Okay, I think she's up there, but I don't know if she's the one to beat. I had lots of notes for this one. Couple things. First of all, I loved the double stag jumps that they all did.
It was great.
Loved that. I did not like the swing through. Her legs were apart. I just didn't like that. You know where she swung out and came back in? I was like, ew.
So some
not
sloppiness
attractive.
there.
A little bit. Okay, now, I thought at the very, very end, it was a little stumbly. She was a little stumbly. And I did love the routine. I thought it was great. And then I also put, down in my notes that perhaps I'm judging her with a dancer, eye, because she is so good. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm nitpicking her because, like, if I was in a room full of 100 dancers and we're auditioning and whatever, that's what you're looking for. I think she's that good that I'm actually now looking at, as a dancer, she's not my favorite dancer. But on the show, overall, she's fantastic.
She's great.
Do you know what I mean? Like, she is fantastic. She's fun to watch. She's beautiful. She has, of course, he keeps throwing in her lines, long leg lines. But for me personally, as a dancer, I don't really enjoy her the most.
It's interesting because she's probably, out of the group that's left, she's probably the most trained dancer. And I say this, because
that's true.
Sean is a gymnast who has had some dance training, but not the way.
No, and I wanna clarify something, and I know you know what I'm gonna say, but like when Tony was here, and he's always so quick to say that, you know, there's so many celebrities on the show that have had all this dance training, and he and I get into arguments on the phone about how Sean's had dance training, and I was like, no, if you could see the level of dance training that gymnasts get in general throughout the country. I can speak as when I was a 12-year gymnast. I know I'm gonna get flack for saying it, but whatever. I know what I'm talking about. It's not dance training. You know, it really isn't. It doesn't even come close to dance training. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So to say Sean has had dance training, if you turn back, look up videos of Sean competing in 2008, 2007, her beam and floor routines, she can't dance. And the choreography in her floor routine is that for a power gymnast that cannot dance. So anyway, I had to say
No,
that
and
piece
it's
about
true.
that.
And if you go back to 2008, they always like she was the power gymnast and Nastia Lukin was the more
and
the
she had a
dancer.
complex about it. She talked to Oprah about it.
Yep.
She thought she lost gold at the 2008 Beijing Olympics because of her body type. And there's questions about
You
that.
could speculate. Yep.
Sure, but she's not a dancer. You and I both know that, and she has become one now. And but she did not have any training. Melissa is the most
trained dancer at this point, and she was a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader,
and that's why I want to say, look, for everybody out there, I don't want you to get upset with me. I am basing my critiques on the fact that she is so good, because that's why I say when she bothers me as a dancer, it's because if I were to put her in a lineup with like amazing dancers, you know what I mean? She just doesn't hold up. But on the show, she's amazing. Does that make sense?
yes, it makes sense to me. Hopefully.
Okay. Hopefully people get what I'm
Yes, exactly.
trying to say.
And they got a 30. So I'm guessing you didn't agree with a 30 because you did see.
No, I agree. Compared to everything else and the other scores and everything, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. It was a fantastic routine. I'm just nitpicking
Because
her
she's so good.
Because she is so good.
Yeah.
And we're talking, Sean and Melissa, like the top.
This is when you have to like show it. You want to win it, you got to show it.
Yeah, and just like anybody, everybody's got different tastes. In dancers and performers and actors and models and whatever somebody brings to the table. She's not my cup of tea.
Correct.
But she is great.
Yes, it's like why some people like Robert Pattinson and other people like Taylor Lautner. Team Edward, Team Jacob.
Exactly.
Yes, but Tony looked really pleased with the score. He looked so thrilled about the whole night, so it was fun seeing that.
Definitely.
Let's talk quickly before we get into news and gossip, not just yet, but let's just talk about those eliminations. So 2 go home this week, Kirsty and Max. I don't think this is any surprise to anyone. And then it was Peta and Gilles. And it's so interesting reading the comments of people who thought everyone was going home, and people are like, Melissa's going home. Melissa doesn't have the fan base. And I heard it over and over and over on all you guys in the comments. Melissa's still there.
I didn't think Melissa was going home.
I didn't think so either, and I just didn't agree. I was like, I don't see Melissa going anywhere right now.
No, she's not going anywhere.
And I think people were right, because I kind of said I think Emmitt and Apollo are probably the two that were on thin ice. But you know what? They are right that they do have good athletic fan bases, and people love them.
A little tidbit: her Karina's publicist, I sit back in the trailer with every week, and man, she's hilarious because she just like is on edge the whole time. Who do you think's going home? Who do you think's going home? Who do you think's going home? Well, maybe she like goes back and forth the whole time about like what's really going to happen. It's fun. It's kind of fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting how it turned, because I started reading the comments, and a lot of you were saying that Gilles was bugging you the way she was bugging me, and he was bugging you. So clearly he didn't get those votes. He probably, his fans went up to a certain point, and then.
I'm not surprised.
No,
I'm not surprised at all.
But
I thought it was going to be between Emmitt and him, and
Well, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks, because we're going to find out who's going to be the top
Next
3.
week.
I know.
Right. I know.
That's a really big deal. Melissa for sure, Sean for sure, and I think there's going to be a wild card in there.
What's it? It's Kelly Bell and Emmitt and Cheryl, and who else? Is anybody else left?
Emmitt and Cheryl and Paulo and Karina. And those 3 are going to duke it out, I think, big time.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be tough.
But here's the thing, too. I don't want to get myself in trouble, but we don't know how America is voting. And, yeah, we kind of think we know once somebody gets voted off, and you're like, okay, well, but I wonder. It's a reality show. The producers, have
Yeah,
streams.
how much manipulation is going on, do you guys think?
I really do think that there is some, always.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to pose that this week for all the YouTube comments. How much manipulation do you think is going on with the judging, not only in terms of the scores, but also in terms of the fan voting? Let me know your opinion, because we feel like it's very uneven this season. I want to see if you guys are feeling the same thing that Suri and I are. And answer away, and I will be there to respond.
It's all mysterious.
It is, and I think it's
But
fascinating.
it's
which I
not so
love.
mysterious behind closed doors.
If we only could get into those closed doors. All right, let's get right into news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, we're going to start out with kind of a somber note, but Brooke Burke-Charvet announced that she has thyroid cancer. I actually had to write about it last week for the sheknows.com website, and the day the news broke, and it's just one of those things that clearly she announced it at the end of the season, and it's something that she's been on top of, but I don't even want to call this gossip, but we do want to wish her well. And
Absolutely.
the good news is that this is a highly curable form of cancer, and I actually had a friend that had thyroid cancer, and I know that Brooke has been very concerned about the scarring. The scarring is so minimal, you won't even notice it, but we want to give her continued good wishes and lots of health in the coming weeks, because I'm assuming she's going to have it done immediately following the end of this season. So we did want to just have that note. But I love this next piece of gossip because Cheryl Burke is throwing it out there that she wants to be the next Bachelorette.
You know what I think? I think that the Bachelorette people are throwing it around to see what happens on the internet.
See if
you know
there's
what
interest?
happens? Yep. I absolutely think that's what's happening because they got to see if people really want to watch her. I don't think it's just Cheryl PR putting it out there. I think it's the actual show.
This is the second time that she has thrown this out here. We heard the story in June earlier this year, and then she wound up dating a Toronto Maple Leafs hockey player.
Would you watch the show with her on it?
Probably for the first couple weeks, and then
I don't know if I'd really want her as the Bachelorette. God, is that bad?
I know, no, you
It's not-
sometimes
I don't know.
I don't know. It would be interesting. It would probably change my opinion of her, good or bad.
Right, because it's going to show her. We don't really see her that much.
I don't-
her personality.
And I don't know if I want to see her making out with a bunch of guys in a hot tub.
Oh my gosh.
Because I feel like I
don't-
kind
I
of know
don't-
her.
I know, I don't think
It's just
so
kind of
either.
weird. I had to write an article about that too. So I wrote about a lot of Dancing with the Stars stuff this week, clearly. But but the
funny.
story's been out there since June. She sort of retracted it, and now it's back in the news now that she's single. But she's very clear she wants to get married. She feels like she's old at 28. There's time,
She's
kiddo.
28. That's so young.
You have plenty of time, kiddo. It's fine. It's fine. I was like, oh my gosh, don't rush into
Maybe
things.
she just wants to do another TV show besides Dancing with the Stars.
I think that's what it is. And, she's been on Dancing with the Stars for
14 seasons.
Yep, she's been on a long time, and I think maybe you get to a point. I think people start seeing they're going to start bringing in some of the younger troupe members at some point as pros.
There's going to be some new blood next season.
Definitely, because
For sure.
we've also seen some of the ratings dip this season. They haven't held the levels of previous seasons, so
Yep.
they always like to mix things up, you guys. So get ready for that. And maybe Brooke sees the writing on the wall, which I don't necessarily think is a bad idea if you're looking to sort of branch out and do something different.
Well, plus, like Derek has said, he'd like to go do some other things. He loves Dancing with the Stars. He'll always be in their court and be there, but he wants to, he needs more than 3 months to go do some other adventures.
He needs to be choreographing professionally year round. I mean, he's a great performer too, but I mean, I think Derek could potentially be one of our lifetime's great choreographer of his generation.
1,000%. And he's so creative. He could do anything.
Yep.
Anything.
Yep. Broadway, he could choreograph Olympic routines for skaters and gymnasts. and
Bigger. Like I just see him doing, even being
Olympic opening
director, like-
ceremonies, directing the next Oscar winner, and it's a movie musical. Go. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. All right. But that's all I have for news and gossip. Did you have anything big or interesting?
No, not this week.
No, I had all the gossip because I had to write about it all week long. So there you go. I was like, hey there. Predictions.
Which we started talking about.
We did.
Your AfterBuzz
A little bit.
TV predictions.
Predictions. Dun, dun, dun. I love the lights go. It's fantastic. It is one of those things. It's so hard at this point because we did say, Kelly is going to be duking it out, I think, with Apollo and Emmitt to get in that top 3. I feel like Kelly's going to pull it out. I feel like all of her little soap fans, not her little soap fans, her amazing soap fans, you guys love her. I think she's going to be able to
Now,
make it there.
is that who you want to make it there out of those three?
I feel like Apollo, because he and Karina have made such strides. I think I would like them in the top 3 just for something different, so we can have the mix of like
Right.
2 female all-stars and a male.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, obviously, Sean and Derek and Melissa Tony are 2 of my 3, and I would not be happy if Emmitt and Cheryl made it in the top 3 because I don't think they belong there. Apollo and Kelly, I'm torn between those 2. I think it would be more interesting technically, to have Apollo.
Yep.
I think he's stronger than Kelly.
I think Kelly's gonna pull it out though.
But
I really do.
Yeah.
I think she is.
I think I kind
All
of
right.
agree with you.
Let us know if you agree with us. My shout out this week goes to Leah, one of our other YouTube commenters. She's been there every single week, and we sure appreciate that.
Thank
so
you.
yes, so we're gonna look forward to your comments tomorrow as well. We will be back next week with more fun and excitement. I can't wait. It's like we're gearing up for the big finale.
Right?
You guys,
exciting.
yep. Don't forget, you can tweet me at Kristyn Burtt. That's KristynBurtt. Suri.
At Suri Serano, SuriSerano.
Thanks, you guys. Been great. We'll see you
Thank
next
you.
week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.